Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 3, harmonizing light and shadow to embody your mystical power and purpose. I'm your host, Washela Sananda, and today it is my pleasure to introduce you to someone I've been wanting to interview for a very long time, Loren Galey. Welcome, Loren.
Well, Shayla, thank you. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm honored.
Well, I'm delighted to have you. And so before we dig in, I will share from a little bit about your background and what you're up to in the world so our viewers know. If they haven't already found you, they'll know a little bit more about you. Loren Ellis Galey is on a mission to empower New Earth leaders. She is the New Earth Mentor's mentor, assisting those who are ready to step into their planetary roles, their divine role, and get out their message of love and light to the world. As a former radio and television journalist and anchor, Loren was trained in broadcast journalism and now shares the many tools of media production in support of New Earth. She is the founder of newearth1.com, acoustichealth.com, and plantmusicremedy.com. She is host of Quantum Conversations and The Now Show. You have so much going on and you are really putting so much effort into just creating this new reality and getting the information out there. So for starters, I would love to hear, how did you get yourself out there? What is a little bit of your origin story and how did you come to be passionate about this work?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. So it's beautiful because it leads to exactly what we're talking about today. And this is the higher self connection. And so it involves my own awakening. I knew when I was a little girl that, well, actually, I wanted to sing, I wanted to be a singer. And when I got my first tape recorder, I realized, uh-oh, I'm not that good of a singer. So I did the next thing that I enjoyed, and that was walking around and interviewing people, my uncle, my friends, my family, and even taping Elvis Blue Hawaii, all of his movies, taping his songs off the television. I'm dating myself. And so it was, I did go into journalism. That was such a mental area. It was abrasive from the beginning. Radio was one thing where we focus on our voice and the message that's there. Television was a whole new arena where suddenly we were looking at what we were looking like and having to stop and put our makeup and hair on and yet get the news out. And what I saw really pretty much from the beginning was a level of ego. And that to me was very standoffish. So I spent well over a decade in broadcast news. And when I left, I I was hearing the inner call of the heart leading me to do video production and going out on my own in this venture in this way. And I knew in my heart that it was really the right thing to do, but it wasn't so easy because my ego was really dragging its feet saying, "You trained to be a journalist. What are you doing?" So that was a level of listening to the higher self and really having the faith to go forward and step out into new things. So that was a level of awakening. And then after I did video production, I was on Guam. After I did video production for a while, public service announcements, my ego stepped in again and had me go towards making money. And so I went into a sales job and actually was not very happy at all. The pressure in that was so intense that that's when I found Deepak Chopra's Your Higher Self. That was really, that in the Course in Miracles was really like my first spiritual deep dive into, what are we doing here? Why am I here? And it's just really funny because the higher self back then, it was like, wow, what is that? And so now here we are in this arena where, following the passion of my heart once again, taking inventory of my life after a very deep, harsh time, a bankruptcy right after 9/11. That was a wake up call for so many people. And I sat there and I truly owned it. How in the world could I create this? I asked. How could I? Well, how did I do that? How did I let that happen? So when I went deep into that and did take that inventory of what my passions were, what I loved to do when I was a little girl, and that was interviewing people. And then I looked around at the tools that were available with technology. And this was in 2004, right? When we start to see Blog Talk Radio come about, and technologies open up in ways that had never been available. As news reporters, we were not allowed to touch a television camera because of the union. And now, here, everybody with a cell phone these days can be a YouTube phenom. So I looked at what my talents were and what I love doing, and I made this whole chart. And I began to see, wow, this is what I can do. And I just moved forward. Thanks to Blog Talk Radio, I used my journalism skills to just begin approaching people with that curiosity. That's a powerful word, curiosity, that leads us down a road which is actually guided by our higher self. And as I say those words, I begin to cry because that's my indicator of supreme truth, my higher self speaking through me. So bear with me if I tend to kind of drop into tears now and then. So I moved forward, and it was really there was a long path on that road. I kept asking the universe, remember the Gulf oil volcano, the Gulf oil spill? I believe that was 2009. And here I had been doing my radio show, but I needed to take it to another level. And I'm sharing this story because it's an indicator of how we can ask the universe, we can ask our higher self and our angelic guides for guidance and inspiration, but it's really how we receive the information. And this is where it's a fight with the ego. Some people are able to like fight with the ego and be done with it rather dramatically. I took a lot of drips, a little taps on the shoulder along the way. And it was just beautiful, magical experiences that really come from ceremony. I want to say how important ceremony is in connecting with the higher self, because in the volcano oil spill, I had my Blog Talk Radio show. I was working with real estate agents, training them online for really cool techniques that help the community get out of bad mortgages. So I was doing my radio show as a hobby, if you will, and I really wanted it to do what I wanted. I wanted to just do it all the time. It was like that dream, right? It was like, how do I create a self-sustaining income with this radio show? And I asked and I asked and I asked, and I heard one word: webinars. And I was driving in my car in the foothills of Boulder, and it's just so beautiful. Every time I drove through this area, the nature spirits would surround me, and it was really a deep connection where we can hear our higher self in that sort of environment. And I just heard webinars, and I said, really? And no, so this was in 2009, and I had already been doing webinars, but it was just a question of how. There's my ego mind again. And I asked, I mean, I was really heavy in the heart when I asked, how can I help Mama Gaia? How do I help? See, I'm crying there because we all get there to this point. And if all we do is bring people into the knowledge that you and I are sharing today, we've done our job. So when I kept saying, how will webinars help save the world back then? And I just kept hearing webinars. And then the image unfolded as long as I kept myself open to it. when my ego mind was like, what? How do I do that? But the ego mind took a back seat for the moment. And I began to see, oh my gosh, it's global. It's like-minded people using technology to get our heart-based messages out to the world. And that was something that I knew as a journalist in my journalism days. I knew television was so powerful. And I can share stories of actually, I'm quite ashamed at some stories that I use the drama and the pain of someone's family in a drunk driving accident to actually send a message. And then when I saw the hurt on that family, I realized, wow, I've deeply made them relive this wound. So I knew that television was a very powerful medium. And look at where we are today. I don't need to get started into social media and video news releases. It's a deep and complicated story, and maybe someday I'll share it. But this is again our message today is our own discernment, our connection within to our higher self to know what is our truth. And it's all the feeling that we get. And so, all right, going back to um, understanding my role, it was like, okay, so how then? How do I do this? And I began seeing the signs and the messages. But here's where my ego came back in. I saw three different ways, three different business models on how I could move forward. That was my higher self. And actually, my team, Dwal Cool, is one of my big masters in my team. And I could feel my whole angelic team and guides around me giving me the answers. But the ego mind, I hadn't passed the ego mind test yet. And the ego mind took the somebody else is already doing this. Who am I to do this? And I threw my arms up and I sat back in my chair and I did nothing for another 3 years. I had been asking, I'd seen it. Then I get to 11, 11, 11, and 12, 12, 12, those gateways. Also, I have to mention that I lost both my mom and my dad, who's my stepdad, but he's my dad, and my birth dad. All my mom and my dad, stepdad, between 3 months of each other. That just was an upheaval in my life. That was 2010, and then my birth dad after that in 2011. And so that's a whole other story. My body physically gave out. I couldn't walk. So this is all about, going so deeply within to see how we're all affected by these relationships. So that's a different part of the journey. So when I go to 11, 11, 11, and 12, 12, 12 to Peru, Machu Picchu and Ollantaytambo, these beautiful sites, Lake Titicaca had me in tears, just the divine feminine energy that was just a wash of my whole energetic system. And we did ceremony at every stop along the way. And it was to Pachamama, and it was for humanity on our mission and our role here. And after I got back from that first trip after 11, 11, 11, here it is, January 1st, 2012. And I hear very loudly and clearly as I'm going through an interview. Here I was in my journalistic ways. I'm doing an interview and I'm saying, this is so good. And I'm just in my normal routine as a journalist. You get it out that day, you make your edits, you get it up, you get it out that day. And I was in that system and I heard very loudly and clearly, stop. And I was like, okay. And then I saw one of the plans of the three models and I said, okay, I'll just do that. I saw, because I had been in internet marketing and I knew the routine. I knew what to do. Some reason it was like, why would I do this in my own business? But I said, okay, I'll follow that path. I'll do it that way. So I slowed down and I shifted out of the pattern. And that was a breakthrough because it continued to unfold. And this is where we are today. And it's a way that we are a community that supports one another, and we support the teachings of one another. And as we each go and do this work on ourselves, it radiates out into our families and out into our neighborhoods and our towns and our state and the world, because this is a global network of like-hearted people. So it was really fascinating to listen. And when I realized what had happened, I'd realized that I had been seeing the signs, but my ego was just in the way. And so that was a big breakthrough. Other big breakthroughs along the way was breaking out of poverty consciousness. And I know we've all, on different levels, experienced belief systems that keep us from manifesting our dreams. So it was a lot of work on that, and a lot of unraveling a belief system, and then watching how things shifted as my belief system shifted. It was really amazing. So that's where we are today. And one of my goals for everyone is to, oh my goodness, use your voice in a divine way that's empowering, that people listen to, and empowering so many light workers over the years. The audience that we've worked with, and I know the audience watching this as well, we can be on a wide spectrum. Some are just waking up that don't even know much about chakras, and others have been doing the work, have cleared out the densities, have transmuted the belief systems, and now are like, wow, this is great. So, with that whole spectrum, it is time to help these who are already here so that they can, these that know, that have done the work, that are living it, so that their voice can now be shared with the rest of the folks who need it. So this is really where we are all empowering each other in this new earth. And I think we can all agree in the great polarity that's out there right now. It's actually heartbreaking to me to see our spiritual community so divided on the issue. But what gives me extreme hope and faith and trust is that we all agree on what we want. And these are the fifth dimensional principles and values and words of compassion, unconditional love, respect, new earth, right? We are creating sustainable systems, systems that respect Gaia and all life. And I've used the word human and all life diplomacy. It really feels like we are at a point where we can speak for human and all life diplomacy. So, as we get ready for new creations for new earth, that's where listening to the higher self is the absolute key. And we could tune in every moment. And again, here's the spectrum. Some may not even know what it means to live in the heart. What does that mean? And others are like, oh, I've been doing it. So that's where we are today. And what keeps me going is the focus on our vision of new earth, always the focus of our vision of new earth. And that will keep us on our path and on our mission.
Wow, yes. Thank you for that, all of that. And I can really feel as you speak your deep connection to the earth, your connection to, even you get emotional when you talk about, your experience of wanting so desperately to help, to assist and help the transformation on this planet so that we all get to enjoy the earth in her beauty and have it be a cleaner, healthier place in on all dimensions. So I'd love for you to unpack a little bit more. You talk about the new earth and mentoring the new earth mentors, which I love. And I think there might be a lot of different concepts and ideas around the new earth. I know I personally have encountered a lot of different concepts and information out there. I'd love to hear your vision and what do you consider the new earth manifest to be?
We have not created it yet. And that's what's so exciting. We can sense there's a big awakening going on right now, and it's an awakening to the heart. It's an awakening to the higher self. Patricia Diane Cota-Robles just has mentioned that our I am presences, the I am presence of every man, woman, and child has been fully integrated. And so New Earth, we've heard from the Arcturians, is a vibration. And we know that our reality is a vibrational reality. And we are here in this eternal moment of now, creating from our vibration. When every person can get there, and I hope it's everyone, I'm going to cry, when we can get there, I think we can all imagine what that's like. So fast forward for me, I know there are some way out ideas like no currency. We start to see other thoughts come in about like a revaluation. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I've got caught up with that. What I'd like to do is have a good relationship with currency. I won't even use the word money because it's our vibration in this moment. So we know that we are abundant, and we know that as we do our service work, helping others, sharing our wisdom. I was at a point, and I know others are like, what do I have to share? And that's in the coaching that we do. It's like we have an exercise, you know something, now share it. And we write lists of what do you know? And believe me, when people go through this process, they realize that that wisdom, that experience, even if it was working in a mundane job over here, what they learned in that job can be utilized in what they're building from a heart-based structure. So New Earth, based on principles of compassion, love, respect, integrity, and integrity is an internal alignment. We each know what it is. I think the word integrity itself can be explained by you know what you know, right? I don't think that's a Webster dictionary definition, but that's when you think about what integrity is, we internally know what it is. So when we have a world made up like that, with creative ideas coming from the heart, we can begin to imagine myself, the oceans, turquoise blue and clean. Uh, I want to get fascinated and say there's a blend with the technology. The kahunas in Hawaii say it's a blending of the technology and the land and the spirit. We can have both. We can. And so jetpacks, all right, that's a little pie in the sky dream, but it was a dream that I had as a kid. Can you imagine flying around? Well, maybe there's spiritual technology that come in that allow us to fly or levitate. All right, that's out there. You can see that the ideas for New Earth are endless because we have not created it yet. And if it's a vibration, when everyone is in the vibration where no one no longer feels like a victim or feels like someone's teaming up against them, or when they feel like their voices have been heard, and when we all can collectively work towards that, that is development of unity consciousness. Well, really, this year is where we are at. Each of us meditate on unity consciousness. What does that mean? It means being at one with our higher self within and every cell of our body, and one with unity in our families. I still know, even myself, I still know light workers where there could be familial differences, but the greatest spiritual teachers say, if you want to really work on yourself, go love your family. So this is a year based on all the things that we know that perhaps we could come from this higher perspective of fifth dimensional unity consciousness when we interact with family members who may not be there just yet. Can we hold our vibration? That is our next test. That's why the great sages said this. If you really want to work on your spirituality, go love your family. And it's funny because sometimes, at times, or in the beginning, we may need to back away and extract ourselves from those vibrations so that we know our vibration. So, back to the question of new earth. Wow. We can see that we have clean air. We have energy that is clean energy. There's water engines out there. Oh my God. When I saw Stan Meyer's water engine, I was like, yes, I was so happy. That technology is coming back around again, coming out into the open. So, see, there's the technologies that we can use to assist in the cleanup of the ocean. Just the other day, I was like, there needs to be biodegradable plastic. What can be done? Because you've got your plastic, hard plastics that bind together on molecules. There's got to be a solution, a solution to dissolve. So anyway, these are the ideas that we can be inspired with when we clear out the lower densities. So until New Earth is already here. The Earth is already vibrating at this level. You can see it when you look outside. It's our remembrance of the old paradigm that keeps us locked in the old ways. So there's a bridge. I see a bridge to New Earth. We're still using money right now. I know that's up for debate. And there's lots of light worker systems of um, offering different ways for people to exchange. And that's all up and coming. It's beautiful. And as we're on this bridge, I guess the best way, I know the best way, is to shift our own relationship with money. Let's use that word because it's been so tarnished. Money, debt. So I empower everyone I speak to get out of debt as fast as possible. And then there's a whole bunch of affirmations. I know it seems kind of silly, but when you say these affirmations, like for example, I pay all my bills on time, even if you don't, when you just keep saying that, eventually your subconscious is going to start paying your bills before they're due. And there's lots of other games there because it's a vibration. And we can talk more about the games, but one of my favorite games to get out of debt or to increase your revenue is to shift your vibration by simply having a better relationship with your bank account. So I call this the adding zeros game. If someone's going through something and there's not much money in the bank account, then how do you think you feel when you go to log into that bank account? That's exactly what we want to shift, right? We can feel quite powerless. Or if you see an NSF fee or several NSF fees, I think it reveals the integrity of the banks, right? When we start to see how it costs money to be poor in America, hands down. That's why I went through my experience. But you know what? Never has things been more abundant when I fully decided to get out of debt, to really not like expect the reset, the revaluation, or to go buy silver or gold to think that you can do that, but it's still part of the game. So instead we shift our energy. And this was so powerful. When you're logging into your bank account, then take a moment to tune in to your energy and your emotional body, considering what it feels like to look on your bank account. And if it's one of, oh, I'm scared, immediately shift it. So you can look outside your window, and this is the add the zero game. Add the zero game. Again, it's playing with your perception, it's playing with your subconscious. Sit before, so get ready to log into your bank account or whatever you do to look at your bank account. If you're at the ATM or wherever you are, hold your vibration of already having an extra zero. And if it's really low in your bank account, two extra zeros. Seriously, see two extra zeros. If it's a dot, zero, zero, or it's see the two extra zeros or one extra zero. You start where you need to feel like, wow. And you hold that vibration, looking out your window, looking up at the sky, in front of the bank teller. And when you see that number, if it's $120, see it as $12,000. I kid you not. Just feel that vibration, hold that vibration, and watch how things shift. If you don't want to add the two zeros, can you imagine you have $120 in your account, add one zero, that's $1,200. And I know it sounds like a pie in the sky, but remember, it's a vibrational frequency. And that vibrational frequency, that the vibrational reality of you maintaining that feeling allows for inspiration from your higher self to come in to take the next step. So I love sharing tools for people to get out of debt, because we taking responsibility is really a powerful way to kind of extract ourselves from that debt cycle. And then we go into mortgages where, wow, we can pay off our, there's a great banking tool that allows us to pay off our mortgage extremely fast using our same funds. And this is really where it's at. Until we get to that point in New Earth where there's something new and different that we have yet to create, this is ways to vibrationally free us up from that old system so we can really create and bring forward the New Earth solutions and creations.
Mm. Yeah. And you made such a good point there where I feel like the reason people still have like a negative concept of money, it's all about the relationship, like you said, and the way that it makes you feel when you look at the bank account and there isn't the number that you want to see there. And that leads to we always get to choose our emotions. That's the one thing that we get to control in our lives. And that takes practice, of course. But I love that you gave a practical way to begin to consciously and intentionally shift that relationship with the money in your bank account simply by making the choice to feel more abundant. And then, like what we feel is what we're creating. When we feel abundant and we feel joy and we're coming from the heart, then we're able to create those higher concepts that are aligned with the new earth. When we're in survival mode, just trying to figure out, oh, how am I going to get paid? How am I going to pay for my next meal or my next mortgage payment or rent? Then that takes us out of those higher creative thoughts and we're in survival. So thank you for just bringing that to everybody's attention. And I would even challenge, where can you do that all over your life? Where are you in survival mode versus creation, co-creation mode? And where can you shift your energy and your feelings, your emotions around that?
Yes. It brings up a really good point because, there's another game that works really well. And this was my thing too. And this is where I'm going to share this game because if people do this game, this opens us up to becoming philanthropists and generating huge ideas. And this one comes from Abraham Hicks. She, um, Abraham Hicks, what's her? Okay.
Esther.
Esther
Esther Hicks.
Hicks.
Hicks, yeah.
Oh, again, a very powerful teacher. And it was the checkbook game. The checkbook game. You take a checkbook register if you have a box of checks, or you can even make a spreadsheet on your computer. But every day you have $1,000 more than the day before, and you have to spend it. So every day, go spend your $1,000. My husband is an economics professor. He shares this with his students. Again, it is very powerful because of the way it opens us up into caring about others. Because there comes a point when you're doing this day to day, and I don't think it takes more than 2 weeks, right? So day one, you have 1,000. Day two, you have 2,000. Day three, 3,000. Day five, you have $5,000. Guess what happens? When we each go through this experience, you take care of the needs, right? You take care of the stuff that you want or the emergencies. My goodness, people have emergencies that would be like, wow, if I had that, wow, that'd be great. And so once you get past the emergencies and you get past the stuff that you want and maybe some of the dreams that you are perfectly entitled to have, and the bathroom upgrades, whatever your heart may desire, then you get to like 15,000 a day, 14, 16,000 the next day. You got to spend the money. That's when we start caring about other people. In my own journey, I started looking around at how I could help in the community. And then, one of the practices to help people discover their passion is, what would you do if money were no object? Well, this game is like money then becomes no object, but yet you're responsible for it. And the ideas that people get on how they can help, it's like you could fund scholarships for people to create biodegradable plastics, right? Or techniques to catch, anyway, there's so many things. Plastic bags flying in the air, right? Things that can help us clean up and actually create new solutions. So the checkbook game, really, 15 days. I don't know if, well, maybe some people would go a little bit longer, but I don't think you even need to do it for the full month as is suggested, because you get the point when you start caring about other people. So it's
Mhm.
a powerful game too.
Yeah. Yeah. Once our own needs are met and our family's needs are met, then we can start thinking about other, right? Everybody else. But until we have our basic needs met, it's hard to do that. So yeah, I get this concept of, the new earth being a place where the basics are taken care of. Everyone has food and water and shelter, and it's not a scramble to survive. Survival, it's a step out of that survival energy and into thriving and then creating together, co-creative community. Yeah.
Do you feel that we're kind of there opening the gates right now, as this past year, people have moved out of the patterns?
Mhm.
I was out yesterday. All we have is nature. The nature trails are packed. They're not packed like everybody. There's cars in the parking lot. Once you get out, everyone's social distance. There's still space. You can still go out on your favorite trail, my favorite trail, and still be alone, right? So it's not like they're packed. What I'm trying to say is that it's all we've got, and we're returning to nature, and we're starting to see even a blending where voices over here were not heard, now they're coming up to be heard. So we still have this bridge to cross, to create, but I think we are on the bridge. Okay, so here's a bridge to new earth. Let's say the old earth is here, new earth is here. I think we're like, oh gosh, it's a vibration, but I think the vibration is raising. So I think the collective is two steps on that bridge, because we're
Mm.
starting to see people caring about others. As the chaos gets a little crazier, maybe in my town, we're discussing people experiencing homelessness in new ways. Um, we're discussing solutions And when you start to see commercial buildings that are going to sit empty because there's a whole new workforce, do you begin to see some of the solutions for those buildings? I mean, we can come up all day with 10 different ideas for New Earth, each of us. And those ideas actually are going to help pave the way to physically get there. Can we create homeless I know we have to say the right words here, homeless education centers or reintroduction or support centers to get people a roof over their head so that they don't have to be in survival mode and into their hearts, right? So it's a big road to get from here to here, but I see it. I do see it. And that's the bridge to New Earth. So we can start to see that we're really already there. And I like to look at the news for ways that I'm seeing this. And as people are supporting their favorite restaurants, we're going to start to see reusable to go items. I mean, that's a system I'm trying to implement in my own town by, the goods are already made on the planet, just to implement them. So these are ideas that are out here in the etherics right now, but the more that we could share it, we're going to start to see this bridge. We're just going to get closer and closer. And as hearts open more and more, yeah, that's my vision of New Earth. But we have to build it. I know some say I fell under this spell on 12, 12, 12. I expected December 21st to be a love fest where people like had this buzz of love. Someone said 8 minutes. But instead, I was in Peru on Lake Titicaca, Island of the Sun, and I woke up with a splitting headache because we were at, 10,000 feet. And my tooth chipped, which I found very interesting because maybe that was a little shift. But it was still the old world. And we kind of got cranky that day. And my friend was crying because we were like, oh, what happened? How could we be so vulnerable? Because I really did think it was going to be like a love fest. But what I've learned and what I know is that that was a shift, but it happens one heart at a time. Now we're 8 years into it and we're seeing more of the collective wake up. So it's it's not going to happen in a flash. How can it happen in a flash? I know there's light workers that go out and they do a lot of grid work. Thank you for all that beautiful grid work. We're all still here in the collective. We're all still here on this planet. And that's where I just see that we're going to be able to that recognition and new dialogues that come out when you can hear the side. Let's say, for example, you can hear the side of conspiracy theories and at least discuss it and look at it, then we're all in this together and we can build a newer, better system. So
Mhm.
I'm always the eternal optimist. I am, because I know that this is why each of us came here. I have light worker friends who are like, this is so exciting. And at times I go, really, it is? I don't want to live in a world with masks. But what's happening is it's opening our hearts in such new ways, such new ways. And I trust that everyone, when they look, can see that. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And I think that that's a really important part is that we can all envision more creatively. And I love that you bring up the solutions for the earth. I'm an environmentalist. My daughter is a huge environmentalist. That's her work. She's an environmental scientist. And
So's my son. That's so
oh wow,
funny.
yeah. And even just around my house, like I use cornstarch bags that are totally biodegradable for my cat litter.
Right. We
And
need that on everything,
yeah,
right? I know,
yeah.
like, I don't know. Yes.
It can be implemented everywhere. Like the places that I do takeout from, I find the places that use the least, harmful, like I have one that does all paper. Everything's paper, no
Yeah.
no plastic, I mean, granted we're throwing away the paper eventually, but at least it's not as
plastic
harmful. And yeah, I
forever.
think step by step, we implement these solutions and
Mhm.
we
And don't get
see.
tired. Don't get tired or frustrated or give up. Don't give up.
Yeah, I think that there will be like an exponential clearing. I mean, I think there's so many young people that are
Yes.
working on it and the ocean cleanup. And we're doing that, that the clutter clearing of the earth alongside the clutter clearing of our homes and the clutter clearing of our emotions and our
Mm.
energy. And it's all happening. I feel like, you can go through a closet, a really packed closet, and take out one thing at a time. And it seems like it's going to take forever. But then suddenly it's like, oh, wait, I've really cleared space here, like a
And it just
breakthrough.
feels so good.
I think collectively that's going to happen. It has to.
It
Um,
is happening.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're
It
getting to
is.
that point. That's the bridge. Like we're getting there. It's step by step. It might seem really small. The steps might seem small at first, but there's so many. It's almost like the 100th monkey effect, where at some point people are going to get it and be like, "Oh, look, there are solutions for all of these things and they are affordable. They're becoming more affordable all the time." So,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
happening. It's
it's
happening.
happening. We are definitely in it right now. 8 years ago when we were just at the front of it, and it's been going on really since the harmonic convergence. And I mean, last year was the most significant shift. And so, right, I think our inner alignment, our daily connection to our higher self for that wisdom is the most important meeting of the day. And when we truly sit down and listen, we get the guidance. I know some are like, how do you get the guidance? Well, just start and you'll start to get the guidance. You may not listen to it if your ego's in the way, like mine. I sat for 3 years doing nothing, but no, I wasn't doing nothing. I just didn't take the advice. I still did what I did, what I knew in my heart, but it was very, very interesting. And I think that we're all getting there. And those who are listening to this that are there, they too know they're helping others with this. We are the great way showers, and everybody is a great way shower when
Yeah.
we share this love and this light.
And everybody has their piece. Everybody's a piece of the puzzle.
I love to say, even if there's 100 yoga teachers in the room, each yoga teacher has a unique offering and aspect to share. I work with people. We have a mastermind group, and people are like, do people really want to learn about dreams? Yes.
Sure.
Aren't there enough people doing it? No. Get your stuff out there. Get your work out there. And that's really the fun part of this now, is that we are creating new earth by sharing our ideas, by aligning with our higher self for that wisdom and the guidance that comes forth, and taking it into the world in our own unique way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And it is a time to stand in your truth, in your power, and be uniquely yourself. That's what we all came here to do.
Yeah.
So as we're getting close to the end of the hour already, this time flies when we when we're having fun, right? And having these conversations. But I want to make sure that I let everybody know you have some amazing offerings. So the first one is a free gift that you're offering, and it's called Plant Music Attunement, Balance and Harmony. It's 2.5 hours. Tell us about this.
All right, so I've been recording the music of the plants. It's a beautiful synthesizer, hooks up to your plants. It picks up the energy of the plant, trees and plants, and it turns that energy into musical notes. And we work with intention. When I've worked with the plants, I've learned to get my ego out of the way. I've worked with the plants where we do different tracks, and I try to get in to see if it makes better sound, and I'm always told, nope, the plants have made this music. Plants are multidimensional. When you are able to hear the music of the plants, the energy in your body and your aura totally shifts. Sometimes you can get really spacey because it really brings us into the now moment. So, this particular item is balance and harmony. And I think it's really good for right now, especially this year when we develop unity consciousness. So, you can listen to, I mean, it's really fascinating. The first time I heard plant music, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so incredible because it's unlike anything we've ever heard. And you can set your intention with the music to release whatever you need to release. So in this case, balance and harmony is the underlying intention, but the balance and harmony can also allow you to anchor in the new ideas. So I suggest to listen to this. Oh my gosh, whenever and wherever. You can listen to it as a background music. I've listened to plant music in my office as I'm working, and sometimes I do get really spacey. It's like, wow, I get really lost. But again, the creativity that comes in from that is always very interesting to witness. So, this is a piece that people can use. You can even just turn it down, and you can also meditate to it. If you've got, it's really good for transmutation. If there's sadness or betrayal or trauma or any triggers that might come up when you play the music, watch what happens. And I find it fascinating because this piece is recorded, but it is the timing, the plant stops. It's not always continuous. And that actually will take you as on a journey as well, as the plant works with us multidimensional. This sounds way out there, but from my working in the recordings with the plants, I've recorded a plant and a plant and a plant and a plant with the intention for one big track. So 6 different tracks on one big mix. And as I went to edit that, my ego eyes come in and say, "Oh, this plant's not singing for a while. I'm just going to edit that part of silence out." And then I put it together all that way with my ego mind edits, and it sounds terrible. And then I hear the plants, and they say, "You've edited what we gave you. We gave you something that's outside of time and space. Please put it in the original context." And then when I did, it sounded beautiful. Each track, and that's my knowing. So my knowing as well is that the plants know that you were going to listen to this. They are outside of time and space as well, their energy before they even come in, and they are literally here holding a space for us so we can transmute lots of dense energies and triggers with this music. And we can also use it for balance and harmony and for new earth creations and solutions and inspiration. So I love that. And I hope people love it too. We've had people say, one gal said she was taking lots of blood pressure medicine over the weekend. And I gave her one specifically for the heart. She said she was off her blood pressure medicine.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this is something where we just tune in to how the plant music makes us feel, and this is a gift that people can listen to at any time. And actually, if it feels right, you can even use it in your meditations if you record
Mhm.
meditations as well.
Wonderful. It's a whole different type of plant medicine.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and I'm sure people would love to hear about your process of doing that. Maybe not right now, since we're getting to the end of the hour, but is that available on plantmusicremedy.com? Do you talk about the process of how you achieve music from plants?
Yes, you can look at that and read a little bit more about it.
Wonderful. Yeah, because that is very fascinating. Okay, and then you also have a special offer. It is called Create Your Passion Matrix for New Earth. It's $97, and I know that's a big discount from the retail price. Tell us about that, please.
Yes, okay. This is fundamental to the work that we teach on New Earth, and it really is based on the passion. So it's developed from my own experience of taking inventory and getting a plan, weaving all of my skills and talents and passions and dreams. And also, we make a list. It's also a list of, 5 things that bring us joy. Sadly, some people don't even can't list 5 things. It's really interesting. So it meets everybody where they are at, and we literally create your own passion matrix based on going through these list building exercises that get us there. And then so that's one thing, and it includes the media production 101 course as
Mm,
well, so that those who want to get their message out, they know what that message is, can use the tools of media, audio or video to actually get there. So in the $97 option, you get the course of the Passion Matrix. This also includes a quick start guide for helpful things for your business if you want to start an online business, the necessity, the tools that you need to get you going there. So um, you get the course on how you create your passion matrix. And then there's ideas of others as they weave their passion matrix, where you can begin to see how you too can create streams of revenue based on doing what you love. And again, there's a bridge to it when you say, I love butterflies. So if you love butterflies, how do you monetize that? We talk about that, right?
mm,
Maybe you were a salesperson. So if there's a salesperson technique, there's a way you would cover it differently than if you were a yoga teacher loving butterflies. So this is where we were talking about how each one brings their piece. This allows each person to bring their piece, identify what it is based on their whole collective of skills and talents and passions and joys and dreams, and even a process where we go into a deep meditation to connect to the higher self for that guidance. Because again, I'll say that that higher self connection is really the foundation of this work. So that is the option one. Again, it comes with the Media Production 101 course, which is awesome.
mhm,
And then there's an option there for a personal session with me, and that personal session would be hypnosis to go meet your higher self to learn more
mm.
about this, or it could be just to ignite your passion matrix and get down and talk business. Sometimes people just have business questions, so those are the options there. And for those who already know their passion, this is really good to just plug in as well and get going, moving forward. This meets people where they are, anywhere along the way. So I look forward to working with those who are ready to go forward. We are
Mhm.
here, heart consciousness.
Wow, wonderful. That sounds fascinating. And I can just imagine what an incredible hypnotherapist you must be because your voice is hypnotic and so
Mm,
relaxing. And wow, that whole program sounds just very transformational and helpful for people, especially that are really ready to step into their purpose work, their heart centered work in the world.
yeah,
Yeah.
game on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been such a pleasure, Loren. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart and your soul and your work and all of your ideas with us. I really enjoyed everything that you've shared, and I appreciate you and your generosity. So thank you so much.
And thank you, Washayla. I'm going to have you on the Now Show. It's coming up. It's a new show, and you're going to share your teachings as well. And this is really a community for all of us, right? So, all those out there who have something to share, I think should reach out to both with Shayla and I and see how you can fit in our platforms as well. Because again, people are ready. And last year, I felt a lot of people answering the call to step up. And even in the beginning of this year, people are like, right on, I'm ready now. So we're all ready and we're feeling it. Thank you too, Washayla, for your beautiful work.
My pleasure. And everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And I just love sharing this work and these amazing speakers with you so that you know we're all in this together, creating the new earth reality together as a community of light. So I appreciate you all so very much. Namaste.
Namaste.